Hi, welcome to KJ and Tony Love France.
In today's video, we're sharing information with you about something that not a lot of people talk about, which is the emotional aspect of moving, especially moving to a totally different country, a totally different culture. There is an emotional aspect, and we're going to share with you what we're doing to prepare for that this time based upon what we learned the last time around.
But before we get to that, we're going to show you some footage from an incredible walk we went on from our hotel in eastern Nice by the castle to Villefranche-sur-Mer. And I often screw that name up. The locals just call it Villefranche, but I want to get it right. And it was just an incredible walk. There's a lot of great video.
And we haven't shared any footage with you in the last couple of weeks, so we thought we would make it a part of this video. So definitely stick around for the end when we will be sharing with you those tips to handle the emotional aspect of your move, if that's what you're planning to do. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. Goes the tram. This tram just switched tracks to go back the other way?
Yeah,
I think it did, right?
Yeah,
This is
right
the end?
Yeah, it's switched tracks right there.
Oh, I see.
It's probably I would guess it's the end and not the beginning because there's no place to put up the work on them here. I would think the beginning is where they work on them.
Look at this interesting sculpture here.
Il faut les opérer, ça du sang. Je vais voir les gars. Même pas même. Et si je m'opérer, je vais prendre rendez-vous au mois de septembre. Oui, après. Ah, on se retrouve. Ça c'est fait, on en parle.
Okay, we're on the other side of the port here. Nice is referred to as Nice Pebbles because of the pebble beaches. Look at these the right idea here. Having a little lunch on the rocks there. This is beautiful. Going down to this Cocoa Beach. Take some pictures. Gingerly walk down this staircase.
Yeah, this is Montbaron, which is where Elton John lives.
Oh, really?
On n'a pas la même conception. Ce que je veux dire,
Wow, wasn't that scenery great? And in person, it's even better. The color of the water, and you're up elevated a little bit from it. It's like an electric blue. It's beautiful, and you can see right down to the bottom. And one of the things I loved about it was the private beaches there. And they're not private in the sense that it costs you to go there. They're public beaches, but they're out of the way. And
Secluded.
Yeah,
A
secluded.
little secluded. Some are more secluded than others.
But they're secluded, but from the sidewalk, if you call it a sidewalk, the trail, you are 10, 15, 20 feet away from these beaches. And there's one after the other of these. So I love that about our walk. And by the way, if you attempt to do this walk, which is something that a lot of people promote, and I would do the same thing. I would promote it. It's still my all-time record for my longest walk ever, which was 23,000 steps from our hotel to Villefranche-sur-Mer.
Me too.
So, it's beautiful.
And it's a part of our why, is the beauty of this area of France and the fact that it is a little bit similar. There are similarities to Florida, but there are of course there's vast differences, and there are reasons why we are moving there.
Well, I mean, for me, one of the big reasons for moving there, besides the beauty and the weather, and there are seasons there, they're just not extreme, is the fact that Nice is located in a place where a 40-minute train ride, you're in Italy, 25 minutes, you're in Monaco. If you're going the other direction, 25 minutes, you're in Cannes. And you can get on a plane very easily and fly to Paris or anywhere else in Europe fairly inexpensively. There's high-speed trains. And if you're a skier, which I'm not, if you're a skier, you're about 2 hours from some of the best skiing in the world. So it's beautiful.
And one of the recommendations that I've read in reading about preparing yourself emotionally for the transition from the US or from wherever you're moving from to France or to another area of Europe, depending upon what your plans are, if you're planning to move or not, is this why, remembering your why of why you're doing this. And one of the things that I was talking about last night when we went out to dinner with my parents is looking forward to being able to walk out of our apartment and be exposed to people and cafes and restaurants and everything being right there, and the water and these walks that we can go on and the access to these other countries. Because right now where we live in Vero Beach, even though we live in a beautiful home, we live on a golf course, I may have mentioned this last time, but we walk out of our home and our community is such that we have a lot of people who this is their second home, and we may run into like one person on our walk, and maybe we'll see a few cars go by, but it's very isolated. To me, it's isolating.
And it doesn't
feels
seem isolated because there's houses everywhere.
Right.
But from about Thanksgiving to, let's say, springtime, there's people here. The rest of the year, there's not a lot. So we love our house. We love living here. But there's also parts of Nice we haven't even explored yet, like all the museums and things like that. A beautiful waterfall you see all the time. We've experienced it from far away, but not close up.
Right. So there's a lot to experience, and we want to be in a more city-like atmosphere. It depends on what your preference is. Of course, if you want to live in the countryside, then of course that's where you will look.
One of the reasons we're picking Nice as opposed to other parts of France, which might be less expensive, is the not needing a car. Mass transit there is so good that you don't need a car, and parking is very hard there. Of course, having a car and insuring it and gas and all that is expensive, and you don't need that. The tram is inexpensive and runs very well, and the trains run well too.
So let's get into some more aspects of how you can prepare for this emotional experience, because there is an emotional aspect, emotional ups and downs. And remembering your why is important. And I think too, being prepared for the emotional ups and downs, like leaning into it and expecting it, because it will happen. There was a grieving process that I experienced, you not so much, because you are used to, based upon your history, you're used to moving a lot, you're used to traveling a lot with your career, whereas I've only lived in 2 major places throughout my entire life. So the change was a lot for me. I mean, we left our jobs that we had been working at for many years. We left our home, we left our family. So there was a lot of change that happened in a short period of time. And I wasn't expecting the degree of the emotional experience.
And you might think, well, you should have expected it. Well, for me, it was an adventure. And because, as you said, I've traveled a lot in my career and moved in my career, it wasn't as much for me. But yes, you can expect it, but actually living it is a little bit different, right? It's sort of like when you have a relative who's very, very elderly, and even when eventually they pass away, it's still, you expected it, but you still feel it.
You still feel it, right? So feeling that that there are going to be highs and lows, absolutely. I think even with you would say that even though your highs and lows weren't as intense as mine were, you still experienced them.
More in Versailles, not at all in Paris. In Versailles, the weather was not the best, and we were more isolated there. So going back to the fact that we want to walk out of our door and be in a city and be amongst a lot of things, if you remember Versailles, and I know you do, we had to walk like 1.5 miles, 2 miles to get to the very first cafe, let alone an area where there was a lot of them.
Right. So also, I think that there's so much value in the fact that we went and we tried this and we wound up coming back and now learning from that experience. So one of the things that I know is the certainty with which we are moving this time. Because last time, I don't think, if I'm being honest, I felt that certainty. I felt a little bit of hesitation. Like, is this going to work out? Is this what we really want to do? I think there was a little bit of a reservation there, which is why I wound up coming back. But this time, I don't feel that at all. I feel very certain that this is where we want to be, that this is the right decision. So that is something that's different than last time. And also, I'm preparing in a way that we did not prepare last time. I am currently taking French, and the way that I'm approaching it right now is I'm using 2 apps. I'm using an app called Busuu, which I think is relatively new and it's great. And then I'm also using an app called Readle, where you read stories and news articles. And then once we move, and maybe before, as we get closer to our move, because we are 16 months and 16 days away from our move, by the way, as we get closer, I will probably up that, but certainly once we move, I plan on getting engaged in classes, as I know you do as well.
Sure. And, I know I didn't take learning French seriously at all last time. And I still feel like I could live easily without it. But, some of the things I've heard, and I feel myself in this country, is that if you live in a country, you ought to be able to speak the language. And so, why not?
Well, and it's going to enhance your experience.
Sure, of course
because I am already feeling more confident in my French and my ability to be able to speak when we go back, because I'm studying every single day. So it's something I'm consistently thinking about and doing, and you're hearing me practice at night.
The last thing I want to be is that ugly American we hear about. And I think if you're not going to learn the language, you have a tendency to be going in that direction.
Right. So that's important to us, and I would highly suggest that no matter where you're going to, that you make an attempt to learn the language before you move. And also the final thing that we're doing differently is we are already starting to prepare for the sale of our house and choosing items that we're going to keep and starting the process of giving things away. And Tony has a little bit more of a struggle with this
Here's
than
the
I
thing.
do.
I'm not done buying things yet, so how can I be giving them away already?
Oh my goodness.
But anyway, I am.
No, you're not being serious.
No,
with that.
but I have been giving things away and preparing to give things away and thinking about what we want to take, because there are, this time we're planning on taking more household goods than we did last time. We took only clothes last time, and this time we're going to ship stuff, right?
Right. Well, and electronics and things that we
day-to-day stuff.
Right, but not any housewares or furniture or anything like that. And so we are doing that because I think that's important too, in being able to incorporate things that are really sentimental and important. And even, we're attached to some furniture that we really love, and won't it be nice when we're able to bring that and see that in the apartment? That I think that makes a difference in the feeling sort of familiar, because that's another thing that I think a lot of people struggle with, is this unfamiliarity, right? There's this desire for the familiar. And so bringing things with us is going to incorporate the familiar. And we're also bringing our cat with us this time.
That's true.
Miss Raven is coming with us, and she's going to become a French cat. So we didn't do that last time. We rehomed our 3 cats, and luckily Raven was rehomed with our son, and so we were able to get her back when we returned. But our 2 brothers, they are probably happier here with friends of ours who took them in, and they love them. And when we came back, they were so worried that we were going to take them back, but we didn't.
And you might be asking, yes, it's true, our cat is also taking lessons on how to meow in French.
So let's end on that note, okay? That's about it for this video. We hope that the information we shared with you is either helpful or potentially inspiring if you yourself are planning a move to France or somewhere else in Europe. And we thank you for watching.
Au revoir.
À bientôt.